they head our tail.
Okay.
I've seen this. This is a good one.
Yeah. So really.
23.
Michael Jordan? Alright, man. Do me a favor. Step out of the vehicle for me. Put the phone down.
I know they're gonna talk about it, but what these two female officers do is pretty much flip a coin on a ticket. Pretty, messed up.
Why
Put
would
your
you
phone down. Step out of the vehicle. Turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Because, ma'am, you're driving entirely too fast for conditions. You put a lot of people's lives in.
It was April 7th, 2018, and two dedicated officers named Courtney Brown and Christy Wilson from the Roswell Police Department were on duty. As they patrolled the streets, they noticed a Georgia resident named Sarah Webb rushing to work in Duluth, Georgia, seemingly driving faster than the speed limit allowed. Concerned for everyone's safety, the officers decided to pull over Sarah's car. As she noticed the flashing lights behind her, Sarah promptly pulled her vehicle to the side of the road. Officer Brown then took a step forward and approached Sarah's car, ready to address the situation at hand.
Stay in the car.
Sorry, my window doesn't hold.
Off to Brown Roswell Police Department. You know how fast you were just going, ma'am?
I'm so sorry.
And this girl's not being threatening or anything, but this officer goes in with an attitude, man. And chill out, Okay, your window doesn't roll down. Have a little bit of a conversation. You're not a robot.
late for work.
So you could go over 80 miles per hour on 92? No, ma'am. You have your driver's license and your insurance card?
What a great attitude to
Turn
have.
off the car and pass me the
That-
keys, please.
Yeah. This upsets me.
The ground's wet.
These
It's been
type of
raining.
things
You're going over
upset
80
me.
miles an
I'm
hour
so
on
sorry.
this type of a road. That's reckless driving, ma'am.
Which, if the cop reasonably thinks that she's driving unsafe, pull the car over, do your stop, as you would normally do it, and leave. You guys are going to see what I'm frustrated about, but this is insane. I mean, this girl's not doing anything to her. She's calm. She's getting the information on her phone for her. But this officer's just pushing. It just seems like she's pushing for an issue.
This is LexisNexis. I'm trying to look it up. I don't have it printed off.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right with you. Go for it. Hey. She was going like almost 90 down 92. Oh, really? She flew past me. I had to get up to 90 to catch her. Wow. My CAD's not working. Is yours?
Of course it's not. Then
Can you see if can you check the tag too? I'm gonna have to restart this and see what the deal is.
Make me skid around.
I'm gonna take her probably for reckless.
Okay.
She flew past me going probably 80, 85 on 92 in the wet road. She said she's running late for work. I had to get up to 90 to catch her.
So I don't think this officer had her locked in on radar, right? I think she just said that. I don't know. But she didn't have her locked in. So essentially she's going based off of her experience. That's generally what they do. You base your experience and your training. That is kind of training for them. That's standard. For when you get your radar training, you got to understand those speeds. 90% pass. With just your eyes. You're not using the radar. You have to know how to do it just based off of movement. So, if she wasn't 100% sure and that radar isn't locked on, she probably her best bet would be to leave her with the warning and get on your way. What she does is even worse.
What do you think? I mean, I don't have any speed detection, so at the same time, but...
It's clear that Officer Brown didn't have a speed detection device to get an accurate measurement of Miss
See,
Webb's speed,
yeah.
and she even admits it. But there's an interesting fact about the law and speeding.
And he might talk about this, but I do know that, with the radar, technically, you do that by eyesight, and it'll stand in court if you're up on your training.
In certain places like Georgia, officers can determine if someone is speeding without using any fancy speed detection gadgets.
Exactly.
It's
And
all
I'm from
based on their
Colorado,
visual
in case
estimation.
anyone's wondering.
So,
That's
here's a little
where I'm
insight
at.
into Georgia's speeding laws. According to Section 46-180 of the Georgia Code, it's illegal to drive faster than what is considered reasonable and safe, taking into account the conditions and potential hazards on the road.
Subjective,
In simpler
though.
terms, you shouldn't speed if it puts yourself or others in danger.
I agree.
Then there's Section 46-181, which sets specific maximum speed limits. Going beyond these limits is a no-no. In a case back in 1992 called Brown versus State, the Court of Appeals of Georgia ruled that an officer's opinion on someone's speed, based solely on their observation, is enough to prove a speeding offense. The jury decides if they believe the officer's estimation. There was another case in 2002 called Stone versus State, where the Court of Appeals upheld a conviction for speeding based solely on the officer's visual estimate.
See, and it's
So
doable,
pretty
but if you're
serious.
not
But
100%,
wait, there's
don't
more.
don't
The
do
same
it.
rules apply to reckless driving.
Leave it
According
alone.
to Section 46-390 of the Georgia Code, reckless driving happens when someone drives in a way that shows complete disregard for the
And that's
safety
not
of
my
people
issue
and
with this.
property.
This is a,
In
I
a
mean,
2003
whatever. But
case called Frazier versus
you shouldn't be
State,
speeding
the Court
on-
of Appeals of Georgia
speeding
stated
anyways,
that if the
but,
state presents evidence that you
I'm
were
more
driving
upset
way
about
too
what this
fast
cop's
given the speed
doing.
limit and the road conditions, just
far as what
speeding
they do
alone can
about
lead to a
this
reckless
case.
driving conviction. So, it's not just about speed limits, but also how you're driving overall. Based on some interesting cases, it seems highly likely that if Officer Brown were to testify about her visual estimation of Miss Webb's speed, the court would find it enough evidence to convict her of speeding and maybe even reckless driving. However, there's a little twist to this story. You see, while Officer Brown's admission that she didn't have an exact speed measurement might make her testimony less believable, it ultimately depends on
course.
how the jury perceives it. They get to decide
Of
if they
course.
find her estimation credible or not.
She's not
Now,
sure.
It's important to note that this standard we just discussed is specific to Georgia. Other states may have different rules, and some may not allow convictions solely based on visual estimations of speed.
In Colorado,
No, but you can use the fact
is
that
the
you
same
were
as
going
them.
whatever speed and she went past you. Mm-hmm. It's on camera, so you're gonna have a back speed. You're gonna have the fact that you went 90 to catch up to her. You're gonna have too fast for conditions,
And then
yeah,
they're
I mean,
sitting there
that's
talking about
unacceptable.
what
I
they
told her,
can
"So you know the roads are
charge.
wet, correct?
It's
You're running
ridiculous.
late for work
You
and
have
you're going
one,
above
you
80
know,
to get to work." I said, "Call." So do not do that and put people's lives in jeopardy. So my CAD just froze on me, so I'm restarting it right now. What do you think? Or just tickets?
you don't discuss this if you're non-biased, by the way. You're not going to discuss this. You know before you pull that car over. If you're a non-biased officer, for the most part, unless you run into a loony or somebody that you need to take care of right then and there, for the most part, you know whether you're going to give that person a ticket or not. If you stray away from that, that's what I call bias. That's what I feel is biased. Tell me what you guys think in the comments.
Atlanta answer or Roswell answer?
I want to hear your guys' thoughts. This angers me. She angers me.
Hold on. Are you? Okay, hold on. Thank you. Yeah, sorry, she did it. Unavailable. My CAD's not working.
None of her equipment's working. I mean, I'm
What's
prepared.
that? A head, R tail.
Duh,
Okay.
that fucking... You hear that coin flip.
As Officer Wilson discreetly opens a coin flip app on her phone, she suggests a unique decision-making method. Heads or tails, she says, implying that if the coin lands on heads, Miss Webb should be taken into custody. But if it lands on tails, she should be let go. Surprisingly, Officer Brown would have been within her rights to arrest Miss Webb, regardless of the coin's outcome. Here's the legal aspect behind it. In Georgia, many traffic offenses, such as speeding and reckless driving, are considered criminal misdemeanors under Section June 1st
So this
40
makes
of the Georgia.
That makes this offense arrestable. It's been a while since I watched this, so she might get arrested. But yeah, she's gonna get arrested based on this stop, bullshit stop. Because I mean, these officers are pretty much gambling on somebody else's livelihood. That doesn't sound moral to me. That sounds pretty wrong. These girls don't know the word right, at least not today. They might learn it tomorrow.
Georgia Code. According to Section the 17th of April 20, officers can make arrests without a warrant if they witness the offense happening right in front of them. So, even without specific state laws allowing
And
arrests
they
for
flipped
these
a coin
offenses,
on
the
this,
Supreme Court
mind
has
you.
established a general rule. If an officer has probable cause to make a warrantless arrest for an offense they witnessed, it is constitutionally permissible. In a case called Atwater v. City of Lago Vista in 2001, the Supreme Court made a ruling.
They touched
They
all
stated
these
that if an
Supreme
officer
Court
has good reason
cases.
to believe that someone committed even a minor offense right in front of them, they can make an arrest without violating the Fourth Amendment. However, the court did acknowledge that the incidents in that particular arrest involved unnecessary humiliation and poor judgment on the part of the officer. Later, in the case of Virginia v. Moore in 2008, the Supreme Court reaffirmed and expanded this decision. They concluded that warrantless arrests for crimes witnessed by an officer are reasonable under the Constitution. While states have the freedom to regulate such arrests according to their own rules, these state restrictions don't change the protections of the Fourth Amendment. Considering the wide discretion given to officers in making arrests, a court would likely find the decision to arrest someone based on a coin toss constitutional, as long as there was probable cause to support the arrest. However, it's worth noting that in some places, these actions would go against departmental policies. For example, the Georgia Department of Public Safety Policy Manual specifies certain circumstances for traffic-related arrests, prohibiting all other custodial traffic arrests. On the other hand, the Roswell Police Department Policy and Procedures Manual doesn't explicitly limit traffic arrests, but it does encourage officers to consider alternatives to physical arrest, like issuing citations when appropriate.
So pretty much, she could have been issued a summons and release. Give her the citation. She could show up to court. Done deal. Everyone's happy. But instead, they flipped a coin. I mean, she might have been upset, but it's a ticket, whatever. She knows. She probably was speeding. But she would have went off with the ticket. They would have ended up in court. But instead, she's going to put her in cuffs and take her in.
Interestingly enough,
And
by
I
using
mean,
a
that's
coin flip to decide
insane
whether to
to me.
arrest Miss Webb, the officers likely violated another section of the Roswell Manual. It emphasizes that police officers should conduct themselves in a way that earns the trust, respect, and confidence of the public and their fellow officers.
Yeah,
The
betting on the
manual also
community.
expects officers to project a positive image of themselves and the department, serving the general public with kindness, consideration, and patience.
So I got too fast for. Let me write this down. Too fast for conditions. Is it?
She's even got to write it down. I mean, yeah, you got to write it down, but she's got to make a list. I mean, she's being terrible.
Is it reckless?
Yeah, you can do reckless, and then speeding, and you're just gonna have to mark the pace one instead of the.
I mean,
And then
either way, the speed limit here is what, 45?
Yeah.
She was going way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, you should have just hit her with the
I haven't done one like speeding like that.
the
So that's why I'm
speeding.
a little bit
You're gonna
unsure.
do the patrol vehicle spot, and then it's gonna ask you for moving or not moving.
It's not rocket science.
Can you help me do these dang
You're
tickets?
supposed
My
to
CAD
be
won't even log me
non-biased,
in.
lady.
Sorry. Alright, I'm gonna go. Yeah, that's not okay. Yeah.
I wonder if they do. I mean, if they. I wonder if they do a coin flip for everybody. I mean, that would make this fair for her as well. But how long was this lady doing this? I wonder if she kept doing this for a while. Just, pull over the car. I'm not sure. Let's flip a coin on it. Like, I realize there's more to it, but that's just insane. You should not be playing with other people's livelihood. You're hired to protect the community. You're not here to, take everybody down. Oh my God. Oh my God, you're gonna get everybody your RoboCop. Everyone's, yeah. You can't be an ass like this. Somebody's gonna get you caught up.
Go for me. Put the phone down. Why would you phone down?
This poor chick don't even understand it. This officer
ma'am,
thinks she's
You're
cute
driving
too.
entirely too
Yeah,
fast in
right.
conditions. You put a lot of people's lives in jeopardy, okay?
But a lot of people, dude.
Double locking these so they don't tighten on you.
This lady's probably never been
Favorite
arrested
stuff
either.
inside
She
my
don't
vehicle, ma'am?
look like she's been raising hell any time
Inside my
recently,
vehicle. Do you have
anyways.
anything? Do you have anything? Do you have anything in your pockets? Do you have anything on you? A Coke sticker, stab me? Any drugs, paraphernalia, anything like that?
She don't realize it was based on a coin. She could have left with a piece of paper and went to
You
court.
have a Ron. Return to the side for me. Here, move on real fast.
Disgusting.
I'm just gonna shake this out, okay? Alright. Do me a favor, step over here. It's my patrol vehicle. Have a seat for me. We're gonna buckle you in, okay?
The reason you buckled her in is cover your own ass. You don't give a shit about the public or the community. Pulling things like
RDR390R.
You flip a coin.
Alpha 1 in custody.
Disgusting. So now this lady's gonna get her car towed. She's gonna have to pay for a tow based on a coin flip. Like, I know I keep saying it, but you can't do
Something
this.
interesting happens when Officer Brown decides to search Miss Webb's vehicle.
Did
You
she-
see, officers usually can't search a person's car just because of a traffic violation.
Nope.
However, there are instances where officers can conduct searches without a warrant.
What did you
First
see?
things first, officers can always search a vehicle if the owner gives them permission.
Yes.
They don't need a specific reason or evidence to ask for consent to search.
Consent.
This was established by the Supreme Court way back in 1925 in the case of Carroll v. United States. Additionally, if an officer has good reason to believe that the vehicle contains evidence of a crime, they can conduct a warrantless search based on probable cause. That's what the Supreme Court decided in the case of California v. Acevedo in 1991.
Those are your two options.
However, in Officer Brown's case, it seems like she was actually just taking inventory of the items in the vehicle because it was going to be towed.
And this is a thing. I mean, this. I know cops do this. They'll take an inventory of valuables within a vehicle just so that it covers them. So that if some reason this lady says she stole my purse out of the vehicle, well, no, I took an inventory list. It's on camera. It's just proof. But I guarantee this officer did the inventory list and was digging in places she shouldn't have been and found something not lawfully. She probably did find something. Let's say that. She probably did find something. Lawfully? Probably not. Because she's not supposed to be opening anything in there. Just valuables specifically. And most of the time it's just items. You're not looking for anything. You're just putting items on a list. I've seen this done.
Now, let's dig into an interesting case from 1976 called South Dakota v. Opperman. The Supreme Court explained that when vehicles are impounded, police departments typically have a standard practice of securing and documenting the contents of the vehicle. This is done to protect the owner's property while it's in police custody.
Exactly. It
prevent
just covers
disputes over
everyone.
lost or stolen items, and ensure the safety of the police themselves.
Yeah, they'll
So,
check the
when
vehicles.
officers search an
like I
inventory
said.
an impounded vehicle, The court concluded that it's not unreasonable under the Fourth Amendment. It's a routine procedure followed by police departments across the country and approved by the majority of courts. In Officer Brown's case, the Roswell Police Department Policy and Procedures Manual actually requires officers to inventory and document the contents of every impounded vehicle. Since Officer Brown was following this policy when she searched Miss Webb's car, a court would likely consider the search constitutional.
Phone with you.
Yeah.
Now your makeup bags and all that. Is it okay to leave those in the car?
But that depends. She can be getting in the trunk. She can be getting in the glove boxes. Things like that. Yeah, that's going into private areas. She can take an inventory where she can see, but she's not allowed to just open what she wants to. It's not supposed to be a full search. It's just an inventory list.
You can make a phone call, but that's all you can do. If you want to call them, you're allowed to call them. But okay, give me 1 second. I'll let you call them.
She's just
Okay?
so rude. How can you act like this with people? That's some humanity, animal.
Where does he live?
And I don't know this whole story, you know? I'm just sour at her.
Okay, have a good day, sir.
There's no reason that I should be able to do it.
Okay.
Miss Webb was arrested and initially charged with going too fast for the road conditions and reckless driving, but later on, those charges were dropped. The Roswell police chief, Rusty Grant, took a stand against the officer's actions and announced in a Facebook video that the department would be conducting a thorough assessment and bringing in an outside consultant for an audit.
Stuff out there.
After an internal investigation, both Officer Brown and Officer Wilson were fired on July 26, 2018.
I do remember this.
It's pretty clear that Officer Brown and Officer Wilson made some serious errors in judgment. Instead of simply issuing Miss Webb a speeding citation, they chose to arrest her. This violated departmental policies, general standards of policing, and raised concerns about their character and ethical conduct.
Yeah, I'm
While
a little
Officer
worried
Brown's
to go to
actions
Roswell.
might have been technically legal, the
They were
decision
still
to
there,
arrest
yeah.
someone based on a coin flip
Go
raises
my-
significant ethical
pull
questions.
me over and give me
It's
a
an
ticket
important part
for
of an officer's duty
driving
to
in
make
reverse.
reasonable and ethical
Flip a
decisions
coin
within
on it,
their
maybe.
authority.
I
They
might
take
go to
an
jail,
oath,
guys.
like the law enforcement oath of honor,
Driving
which
in
emphasizes
reverse too
accountability
fast.
and maintaining high ethical standards. Officers who fail to consider the ethics of their decisions betray this oath and neglect their responsibilities. Officer Brown and Officer Wilson's behavior trivialized the impact of being arrested and damaged the relationship between the police department and the community they serve. I commend the Roswell Police Department for taking appropriate action to
Of
address the
course.
misconduct of
Of
their
course.
officers. As
No,
for
that's
Miss
good.
Webb,
They
it's not
handled the
fair to assign
situation,
her a
at
grade
least.
in this situation
A lot
because
of
she had no
departments
control over what
try to
happened.
brush things under
When
the rug,
Officer
man.
Brown initially approached her and mentioned her speed, it seemed to genuinely surprise Miss Webb. Officer Brown later admitted that she didn't really know how fast Miss Webb was going. This raises doubts about the legality of the stop itself.
Exactly.
There is an argument that there is no verifiable evidence to show that the stop was justified by the law.
It's all
Ultimately,
circumstantial
all the
based
charges
off of
against
the
Miss
cop's
Webb were
word.
dropped. It's worth noting that she remained calm and compliant throughout the encounter, which likely contributed to the dismissal of her charges. I commend Miss Webb for handling herself well during the interaction
Yeah, she
and
did
for
awesome.
filing a complaint through the appropriate channels
Honestly,
afterward. If you enjoyed this video, make sure
the lady that got arrested, she kept herself together pretty well. You know, I know a lot of people are freaked out and start fighting with the cops and actually get the charges, you know, the actual charges. But this lady kept it together, and it shows what it can do. I mean, she held it together, and at the end of it, I mean, she went back and handled it what she had to. She didn't act up with them. I have a lot of respect for that person, because anymore it seems like everybody wants to fight the police. Fight the police. It's you know, they're just people too. There's a lot of bad cops, but you know, we can't just throw the good ones in that same group. Let's get this word out here, guys. These videos are interesting in themselves. I get it's not always that exciting. I'm not the best talker. I'm new at this. Believe that shit or not. But I think we could get some people interested, and not only in this. I'm doing other videos as well. I'm working on some comedy things, just a bunch of different things. But we're gonna explore different things on the internet and see we'll see what sticks as a community. We'll explore topics together, guys. Alrighty, well, guess that's it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead, like, subscribe, check out the links in the description. I'll leave these guys links in the. I'll leave a Dirty Cops channel links in the description. Check out the channel. Does a lot of these videos, body cams. I love them. They're interesting. But have a good night, guys.